Man, we live in the studio. It's an honor and a privilege, a plump, pleasing pleasure to have my homeboy, my H-Coon Boom, my right-hand man, Mr. Toriano Banks, South Memphis finest, a.k.a. Big Beanie. Cuzzo.
What's up, baby?
What it is, man? What it is?
Man, it's an honor to be here, man. Like I said, first of all, I want to give my cousin his flowers, man. To be on this platform with him, man, to see him actually walk it and talk it and live it. The man has implemented and embodied change. If change was a person, I would have to say it's Brian Tillman, man. I want to just give you your flowers, cuz I'm proud of what you're doing, man. You're working with the kids, you're doing stuff for the hood, the same hood that we came up in, the same streets that we came up on, the same blocks that we used to walk. You buying them now, you know what I'm saying? You laying it out for the kids, man. And I just want to give you your flowers ahead of time. You've been sending out the link for everybody to actually be down with the whole Hope Beyond Barriers thing, man. I hadn't took the time out to make my donation to the link or become a member because I wanted to do it live on your platform, man. And let me tell you, let me go ahead now and let everybody know that I'm part of this whole Hope Beyond Barriers thing, man. I'm popping rubber bands with this legit money. You know what I'm saying? So I want to make mine 12-month
Man, I appreciate
donation, and any other thing that I could do, you know what I'm saying, to be a part of what you have going on, cuz I'm a part of it, you know what I'm saying? I'm just a phone call away, man. I'm glad to be here, man. Glad to be here, and I'm glad to see you embodying change, you know what I'm saying? Because we was once those kids that walked the street and needed somebody to do the same for us, man.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate it, cuz, we're going to definitely keep it moving and, we're going to push the needle forward concerning this podcast. And I just want to start off by, first of all, asking you a couple of questions. And on this podcast, we're basically fixing to highlight Memphis from the inside out as opposed to from the outside in. We want the world to know and see who and what Memphis is from our lens. We're about to take the narrative back. We're about to let the world see how we really move, how we really moving and shaking and moving. So, this is not a platform to where I want you to come on here and be humble and be modest, because we're trying to paint a real picture and we're trying to control the narrative. So from your lens, who is Toriano Banks, AKA Big Beanie, right now? I want you to roll out all the accolades, all of your entrepreneur ventures. I want you to talk about all of the success that you've been able to accomplish over the last few years. Roll that out to the people for me, Big Ben.
Well, the thing about it is Banks Investment Group as a whole has a lot of things that falls up under it. We have Disbelief Tequila, which is my A1, you know what I mean? Then we have Baseball Rich. Then we have Baseball Rich Music Group. Then we have the real estate. And then we now have moved over into trucking, and so we got toothpaste about to roll out. We got video games about to roll out. We got books, films, all of this stuff that's about to roll out. So we've been working kind of silently. Of course, everybody been, coming in my inbox and stuff saying because I hadn't been doing a lot of posting. But I haven't been doing a lot of posting because I've been doing a lot of work, and I've been doing a lot of this film writing, a lot of these books and stuff that we're about to drop, a lot of urban novels, a lot of racism novels and all of that right there. So, if I had to say, on your podcast today, who am I? I'm him. I'm him, not one of them. You know what I mean? So we really, and that's because you don't want me to stay humble.
I just want you to put it out there like a TIL. We want the world to understand, and we want the world to see it. You know what I'm saying? Raw, uncut. Unfiltered. It is what it is. And we're not dumbing ourselves down. Absolutely. In 2026. People gonna have to accept it, respect it, or neglect it. Yes, sir. At the end of the day, man, we going in. You know what I'm saying? That's how we move. That's how we rock. You know what I'm saying? So, I sit back and I listen to you talk about all of the ventures that you have going.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about it is, we've been knowing each other our whole life, but see, it didn't start like that.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Who you've become is not once who you were. So from the standpoint of giving the people an accurate assessment and timeline of who you are and where you come from, let's go back to your teenage years and let's plug in that timeline and that gap to show people, because we don't want to paint an insufficient picture and make the world think that, hey, Big Beanie, Toriano Banks started off at the top. Let's go back to the bottom. Let's go back as far as 13 years old, and I want you to walk me through the timeline and bring me back up to who you are right now.
Well, as a youth, of course, we come from the streets of South Memphis. You know what I'm saying? We got to take it back to Vance Junior High School. You know what I mean? We got to take it back to St. Paul and Orleans, man. And, that in that time frame, you know what I mean, we were looking up to a lot of the street dudes. The street dudes were pretty much our fathers. You know what I mean? They fathered us. They gave us something to look up to. So if I had to be the judge of myself then, it was me, seeing the guys with the cars and the chains and the women, and that in itself made me say, you know what? I want to be one of them. But had I saw something different, I probably would have done something different. But that was just a part of, our surrounding. You only know what you're exposed to. And what we were exposed to at our early age was street dudes. You know what I'm saying? Them was the guys that fathered us. You know what I'm saying? Them was the ones that was telling us, hey, this ain't the thing to do. But you got all this money. Right. You got all this money, and I wanted some of that.
Right.
I wanted some of that, so you ain't gonna be able to tell me that ain't the thing to do. So, moving on up to our high school years, of course, we were playing ball and all of that, you know what I'm saying? But we started to want more because we started to see more. So when you see more, you're gonna eventually do more to get more. And then it led us to, kind of getting heavy in the game. You know what I mean? It led us to Jackson, Tennessee. You know what I mean? We went from high school to Jackson, and it led us to taking over the streets of Jackson, man. You know what I mean? And from there, you know what I mean, that's where the fall came. That's where the fall came, and it landed us in federal prison. Landed all us in federal prison, all us co-defendants. We ran together small, we got big together, and we took a downfall together. You know what I mean? But, they say, a blessing comes in two ways. They say, you think there's something actually going wrong in your life, and it's actually opening up some doors and opening up your eyes. And prison was one thing for me that made me see things a lot different, because being the person that I was, I had all this false power. And by the time we got to prison, I understood how powerless I was. It wasn't shit I could do. It wasn't nothing I could do. I couldn't make no calls. All the women that left me, all the money gone. So and it puts you in this place, and you say, well, you know what? I ain't gonna fall weak to my circumstances. I'm gonna dig deep inside of myself. That's what actually made me go into all of the writing and all of the business plans and everything that I wrote down on them papers behind the wall. I've actually came home and accomplished that.
So would it be a fair assessment to say that sometimes something had to go wrong before something go right?
Absolutely.
So would you say that prison became the platform that you built your foundation on and came out here and implemented the vision that you wrote down and made plain while you were in isolation, basically on the backside of the desert? Because, we know from the word that, a lot of times our life is synonymous and it takes turns like those of the children of Israel. Mm-hmm. So the children of Israel, God took them the long way around before they got to the promised land. It took them 40 years, to overcome a journey that took much shorter time. So prison, right? Prison wasn't a bad thing. Prison became basically a starting point, a new start for you, in order for you to be able to implement all the things that you're doing right now. So walk me through, like, what was the mindset that you had in prison? What did, the discipline, and all the things that you put into place? Tell me what the formula looked like, because the thing about it is individuals that's been incarcerated, they're creatures of habit. So they actually start to form a routine. And a lot of us that make the transition back out here to the streets, basically we implement those routines that we started on the inside and bring them back to the outside. And what I've came to understand is during those times on the inside, we built the foundation that we needed in order to be successful on the outside. So basically what it looks like is we came up with a plan, and everybody know if you work the plan gonna work. So what did that plan look like for you?
Well, they say it's two types of storms. Those you go in and those you come out of. And for me, I thought that leaving, I thought that when I went to prison, that I was going into a storm. I was actually coming out of a storm because we was living that street life. We was, because death or jail is inevitable when when you're in the streets and shit like that. So I was coming out of a storm and really didn't realize that. So what prison actually taught me was patience, because you know how we were. You see it, buy it right then. You see it, you want it, you get it right then. It was nothing that we couldn't, obtain. We go buy anything we wanted. The kind of money we was having. So the thing for me was I had to develop a strong sense of discipline and patience in jail, because you got to wait for everything. You got to wait to eat. You got to wait to use the phone. You got to wait for a visit. And the major thing was you got to wait to go home. You got to wait to go home. So it taught me patience, something that I didn't have. It taught me how to sit back and be more analytical. I had to analyze stuff and see things for what it was and see people for who they were and not for who I wanted them to be. It taught me something different. It's bad that I had to go through that, but then and again, you got to go through something to become something. Show me a man that ain't never been through shit, I guarantee he ain't shit. You know what I mean? So I had to actually go through that transition in my life to actually become the person that I am today. I developed a strong sense of patience, a strong sense of discipline, because I had, I got up every morning at the same time. I went to run every morning at the same time. I ate the same. Everything was repetitive. So it gave me something. There was a different foundation, that I only had me and God. I ain't had nobody else that I could call on. I had to, they say your blessing is the length of your knees to the ground, man. You know what I mean? So every night I was on my knees praying, praying for a better life when I got out. You know what I mean? Because, you got to get back acclimated to society. And what we came up doing, getting back out here and started making investments. When I started investing in clubs, I ain't gonna lie, I was afraid. Got out here doing music, I was afraid. You know what I mean? Because I had never been, of course we had businesses before we left, but did we really have businesses? No, them was fronts. So, it was fronts. So now when we putting our money into something, it better damn well come out of there. You know what I mean? We got when you put your money in all these houses that you done bought, you need that money. You need that rent out of there. You know what I mean? Because this ain't no front no more. This how you pay the bills. Yeah. So now it's opening up these clubs. I need heads in here. I ain't got no other way to make my money.
Right.
Yeah. So everything we do now, we need an ROI. We need a return on our investment now. It's not the same. It ain't like we out here buying work no more. Yeah, the work days is over with. So what prison taught me, again, what I'm saying, it taught me discipline. So I had to watch and see how I really wanted to invest my money, what I really wanted to do with it. What would make me different. You know what I mean? Because I see a lot of people, we all kind of mimic the same thing. Like if this is making money, then I'm going to go over here and do it. If taxes is making money, then I'm going to go do taxes. And what could Beanie do to be different? You know what I mean? So that's what kind of made me go into the alcohol because I didn't want to be wrestling with, with my own people for the same dollar. You know what I mean? So I had to set my sights on a bigger vision because they say the fastest way to the top is to grab hold of Superman cape. So I needed to watch what Superman was doing so I could kind of get to another level. So when they start saying that this tequila is making billions of dollars, I wanted some of that. So now I'm not looking at people on the same scale as me. I'm kind of looking past them because this is what I need to do. I need to do that. I don't know if I could make $1 billion, but guess what? I'm damn so try.
So, with that being said, right, have you ever thought about when you was laying in the box that you would be able to make the same kind of money, live the same kind of lifestyle, and even better? Right? And when I say better, it's because you got peace now, right? You ain't got to worry about the robbers, the police, the snitches. You ain't got to be sleeping half-dressed like a fireman with the window crack ready to run, right? You feel what I'm saying? Did you ever imagine in a million years that you could make the transition, change the trajectory of your life, and come out here and be in a position to make millions of dollars legitimate and live a better life than you lived when you was in the streets throwing bricks at the penitentiary hustling? Did you ever imagine it?
I couldn't, cuz. I couldn't.
So let's also talk about another one of your ventures, because see, you ain't putting it all out there. Let's talk about Baseball Rich. You see what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? We don't want to dumb down nothing.
Right.
We don't want to leave nothing out.
Right.
I want the world to see that individuals in Memphis that has been just as impact have basically came back out here, boots on the ground, grinding, and getting it. Man, let's talk about Baseball Rich clothing. Let's talk about what that means to you.
Baseball Rich, that's actually live a lifestyle with no salary cap. My thing was when Baseball Rich was created, it was because I don't feel like that we should have a ceiling on the hard work that we do. Right. The concept of baseball, is no salary cap. So, that's the highest paid sport. You know what I mean? So I felt like when I hired a team of employees, I wanted them to make more money than me. And I know it sounds crazy, but I was making my money off of volume. So when they went to get the contracts with the schools and Memphis Light Gas and Water and all different contracts that we got, I was giving them the bulk of the money because I was making my money off the pieces. You know what I mean? I wanted them to be paid for the hard work that they was doing. You know what I mean? So when that was the meaning of that company. I kind of put that in my brain, and I wanted to actually teach people, the clothing game and stuff like that. That's why when I first came out with Baseball Rich, if people go back and do their research, they'll see one of the first flyers out. There's Toriano on that flyer saying, do you want to learn how to, start a clothing line? That was one of my first flyers, that I put out. So it was me just trying to, get over the wall and throw the rope back. Some of us, we're going to build a longer table, not a taller fence. So I feel like if I'm eating, I'm going to build a table long enough for everybody to sit down. And that's always been my concept. And anybody that knows me knows that, So that's Baseball Rich. That's it. The concept is just for me to kind of help other people get paid.
Man, that's what it's all about. It's about giving back, Like you said, you always creating other opportunities for other individuals to get in the game. Man, I love what you're doing. I appreciate what you're doing. And I tilt my hat to you. I salute you because you did something that a lot of people dream about doing. You're doing things that a lot of people just imagine doing, right? You got out here and beat the odds because now you're an entrepreneur, and those same individuals that you once grew up with, that you once was in the gutter with, in the bottom with, now, you're able to be an example to those people. You're able to employ those individuals. You're able to show them that a black man that made a mistake in this thing called life, you can bounce back. Your setback wasn't nothing but a setup for a comeback. And the comeback been real. You know what I'm saying? It's been astronomical. You know what I'm saying? Hey, man, you came home and blew up like the World Trade Center. I'm talking about, I love it. I love what you're doing. I love all the things that you're standing on, your morals, your principles. Hey, man, listen. It's an honor. It's a privilege, man, to be able to sit back on the outside looking in, knowing where a brother come from and seeing the progression, seeing you climb the ladder one step at a time. So for these young brothers that's out here talking that boss talk and ain't walking that boss walk, right? A lot of these young brothers that's out here misled, got life misconstrued. What kind of advice would you give these young brothers coming up now in the streets or making the transition out of incarceration on how to get their feet up on them, get a solid foundation, and push the needle forward in a positive and productive manner and be efficient and effective and contribute to the ecosystem in a way that'll be admirable?
What one word? Resilience. That's basically it. Like, in order to start anything, we got to put one foot in front of the other. That's it in the beginning. Put one foot in front. Legacies and stuff like that ain't created the first time. Most people that's successful will tell you that it was a whole rise. If you think about your pulse, it goes up and down, up and down, up and down. Your pulse is what? Your lifeline.
Right.
So when you think about your lifeline, it's just giving you peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys, peaks and. As long as you got these peaks and valleys, you got a chance. If you see a flat line, you got a problem. So that's letting you know right there, it's gonna be peaks and valleys, man. You know what I mean? So legacy, like I said, legacy is not created just the first time. You know what I mean? You're gonna have to fail. You're gonna have to fail. But if you can look up, you can get up. If you can get up, you got a chance. It ain't. They always say it ain't about how many times you fall, it's how many times you get up.
Right.
I think the Michael Jordan commercial a long time ago said something like fall down 5 times, get up 6 or something like that. People probably just looked at it. It probably didn't. I don't know if I got the numbers right, but it probably didn't mean nothing to them. But it meant something to me because I was looking at somebody that, you know what I mean, that came back from, you know what I'm saying, Mike came back and got back in the game and did all these different things. So I looked at people different, you know what I mean. I probably analyzed it a little different, but that meant something to me, you know what I mean, because I knew that in my life I would fail sometime. I would fail sometimes. So for the youngsters and the young bosses, man, it's just not about giving up. You know what I mean? Create your legacy, man. It's how bad you want it, because we all can get there. It's just what you're willing to sacrifice to get there. As long as you ain't sacrificing your morals and your principles, you know what I mean? Take care of your business and go out here, because chances they not given, they taken. You got to take these chances, man. You know what I mean? Because again, they print this money for everybody. And you got to go out there and get it if you really want it. If you really want to take care of your parents, if you want to take care of your kids, if you want to take care of your family, go out there and get your money. Go out there and get your money. You know, it's gonna be some sacrifices. It's gonna be some. My system is I go to bed early, and I wake up early. So if I go to bed early and I wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning like I do, I write for an hour 45 minutes. Then I go work out. You know, but as that 2 hour gap, that I'm getting more done than most. I'm already taking care of my business. If that 2 hour wonder that I'm writing, I'm already making money. If I'm on my computer, if I'm researching, I'm already making money. People sleep. My system is go to bed early. The earlier you get up, the more you can make. You know, they say the early bird get the first worm. You know, but I shake the rooster. You got to get up and do your job, man. You know what I mean?
For sure. Hey, I definitely feel that. You know what I'm saying? Because I tell people, now, I'm still on penitentiary time. Yeah. And people be like, hey, man, what's penitentiary time? Hey, man, I do more before 9 a.m. than most people do all day.
Hey,
so, like you said, don't none come to a sleeper but a dream,
Yeah.
And, man, it's just a wonderful thing when we can look back on this thing called life and look at the choices, the mistakes that we made, right? Mm-hmm. And now we could take those same choices and mistakes and use them. Mm-hmm. And the reason why we can use them is by the grace of God. He blessed us to overcome all the challenges, all the consequences from the choices and the mistakes we made. And now, you know, we've learned the lesson. But God didn't bless us to overcome what we overcame for us. You see what I'm saying? It was for somebody else. Now, as big homies, as OGs, that a lot of these young brothers look up to, it's our place to be the GPS and the navigation system.
Absolutely.
To help them not to have to go through the consequences that we went through before they learned the lesson. You see what I'm saying? The only thing they have to do is master the art of listening. They got a cheat sheet.
Yes, sir.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Man, they got a cold-blooded cheat sheet because God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So if they listen more and talk less, they're gonna get it. And a lot of these youngsters gonna have to learn what assertive communication is.
Absolutely.
It's where one person talks, the other person listens. You're not listening to respond. You're listening to obtain the information that is given, and then the roles change. You see what I'm saying? So if we can get them to buy into that concept and understand that every individual that walks the face of this earth, because if you ask a person, hey, who's intelligent? Raise your hand. Everybody gonna raise their hand, right? But if you ask an individual who's ignorant, raise your hand. Nobody's gonna raise their hand. The reason nobody's gonna raise their hand, it says, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. There's a negative connotation that's been connected to the word ignorant.
Right.
Ignorant only means not knowing.
Yeah.
So if you don't know everything about everything, that means you ignorant to something.
Yeah.
So everybody is ignorant.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? So it's just, man, it's just heartwarming. It just fills my heart with joy to see where we came from, where we are now. And in closing, right, there's only one way to sum it up. I have to use a basketball analogy because growing up, we both played sports, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That used to be our thing, right? So guess what? We took a person in sports that everybody loved, and we did the same thing he did because he was the underdog, because he was a little guy, right? But guess what? If you know anything about basketball, you know anything about the NBA, when you talk about underdogs, when you talk about the little guy, the name Allen Iverson has to come up. I use Allen Iverson for a reason, right? I look at his life, I look at our life, I look at what he did in the NBA, right? The comparison that I make is that Allen Iverson made a move famous in the NBA called the crossover.
Yeah.
And in closing, I just want to make sure that the world know and understand that Toriano Banks, AKA Big Beanie, South Memphis finest, did just like Allen Iverson. He crossed over. He went from the underworld to the corporate world. And to those of you that really don't understand English, what that means is he took the skill set that he used in the negative and brought it to corporate America and turned it into positive. And what that does is it exemplifies and raises the bar real, real high for those that's coming behind him, but it also explains the title of this podcast. What he just showed you, what he just told you, is how we pivot from surviving to thriving. We want to thank y'all for continuing to follow this podcast, and we just want to let you all know that you will be able, if you like, this wonderful girl that I'm wearing, in order to support the movement, you'll be able to click the link below.
Go get that gear. Go get that gear, y'all.
And blessing. I just want to thank you, big man.
Man, love you, cuz.
Much love, man.
Much love,
You know what I'm
cousin.
saying?
Yes, sir.
We out of here, y'all.
We out, baby.
Peace.